wake up. I am your host, Chantel, better known as Miss Recycle, and you are officially on the Wake Up and Smell the Coffee show. Listen, y'all, today I want to talk to you guys about familiar spirits, okay? Actually, I have a video that I want you guys to listen to, all right? And it's about familiar spirits. And I'll put the link in the bottom in the chat once we're done. But I want you guys to take a listen to this, okay? Because this is very, very serious. All right, like I said before, we are in a spiritual warfare, so we need to know what to do, and we also have to teach our children what to do too, because these spirits will attack our children. They'll do anything to get to you, so you have to remember that. Protect yourself, your household, and your children. Your immediate family is very important, right? So yeah, we're just gonna get right into it, y'all, because you know how they be trying to stop me or whatever. So um these these things are attacking us, all right, and we don't even know it, okay. When certain things happen in your life, you know, they're going to explain it to you. When I heard this video, it was like, wow, it was like a slap in the face. All of these things basically happened to me, okay, and it was like my spirit told me what was going on. Like, I kind of knew it, I felt it, but proof is in the pudding. And listen, guys, this is very deep. Like I said, we have to teach our children how to fight these spiritual warfares as well. I told you guys, for every problem there is a solution, okay? For every problem there is a solution. So not only am I going to introduce you guys to this, but I'm also going to teach you guys how to combat it. Okay? Listen, we're learning together. We're learning together. So take a listen to this. Listen.
What are familiar spirits?
What are they?
And how can one defeat them? Before I take you deeper, allow me to say this up front. Familiar spirits are ruthless.
Ruthless.
Familiar spirits
Listen.
are heartless.
They're heartless.
And merciless.
And
not
merciless.
Because other diabolic spirits are not ruthless. They are. But familiar spirits, they take the cup. And if there be a spirit that I hate with passion, with everything that is in me,
it's a familiar spirit.
It's what we call familiar spirit.
Because they know
in
you.
Plural, familiar spirits. So what are they? Let's break it down.
Listen.
A normal definition will say familiar spirits is a spirit of a dead person or dead people invoked by another person so that they could receive guidance or prophecy from them. But what does the Bible say about familiar spirits? According to the Hebrew Bible, a familiar spirit is called a household servant.
Listen.
A household servant.
I've never heard of that.
And of course, there's a reason why the Bible will call a familiar spirit a household servant. Let's go to Leviticus 19 and we read verse 31.
Listen, y'all.
The Bible reads, regard not them that have familiar spirits. Meaning they are people who have familiar spirits. Neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. In Isaiah 8 verse 19, God is saying as well, do not go to people who have familiar spirits. So the word familiar spirits in the Bible appears more than 12 times. In the New Testament, we see the word familiar spirit appearing 2 times and 9 times in the Old Testament. So since according to the Bible, Hebrew Bible, a familiar spirit is a household servant. What does that mean exactly? I'm going to quickly break it down, then I take you higher. Please pay attention.
Pay attention.
A household servant is somebody, someone that you open your door for. I'll say that again. It's somebody that you open your door for.
Somebody you open your door for.
And depending on how long the person has been working for you, chances are in no time they will know your house, every corner of your house, in and out. They will end up knowing things that you never shared with them.
They'll know everything about
Just
you.
by observing you. They will know your favorite meal, favorite food. They will know your favorite drink. They will know what time you go to bed. They will know who visits you at what time. And because of what they know, because of what they are familiar
that's too much
with,
for a person to know about
they can easily give you up to the enemy.
And that's why.
They can easily betray you. They can easily sell you to your enemies.
Wow.
Remember, the more your enemy knows you, the better for them. The more they will have advantage over you. So a household servant becomes somebody who knows your life, who's familiar with your life. But the mystery here is that you opened a door for them.
Not all the time.
Will say, but
listen.
What then happens, Apostle, if I've never opened a door for this household servant you are talking about? Or if I don't remember opening a door, does that mean I don't have and I can't have familiar spirits as long as I did not open a door? They cannot attack me. Well, let's go to the Bible and please here pay attention. In the book of Genesis, here I'm taking your eye. Pay attention.
Y'all gotta excuse these little commercials. Y'all know they try to interrupt.
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Pay attention. In the book of Genesis chapter 15, God appears to Father Abraham for the second time. Remember the first time he appeared in Genesis 12. Okay. In Genesis 15, Abraham wants to know if what God had said to him will come to pass or will even come to pass. Will ever come to pass, so to say. Then God appears to him and says, look, it will come to pass, but I want you to do something for me. Build me an altar, sacrifice on the altar. He does that. Abraham does that. Then the Bible says he fell into a deep sleep. In a dream, God appears to him. Right there in Genesis 15. And God entered into a covenant with Father Abraham. In a dream, God sealed a covenant. Entered into an agreement. And right in that dream, God says to him, I will be with your generation. Your descendants will be slaves, will be in captivity for 400 years in Egypt, in a foreign land. And God sealed that covenant. Abraham woke up and he was in a covenant with God. Later on, Abraham has a son called Isaac. God then says to Isaac, Isaac, I will be with you as I was with your father. Wait a minute, pause there.
Listen.
The reason why God is with Isaac is not because of Isaac. But God is with Isaac because of Abraham. Isaac is prospering. Isaac is ahead of the Philistines, his enemies. Not because of him, but because of what the father did. The father opened the door. And in this case, for a divine spirit.
You will know them by their fruits.
In his life and in the lives of those who come after him. Isaac has sons, Esau and Jacob. And in this case, we'll focus on Jacob. Jacob, everything he touches prospers. He fights from a victory point. Every time he fights, he will come out victorious. He has a backing. Things seem to be moving for this gentleman, for this fellow. Why? Not because of him or his work ethic or his efforts or his talents or his gifts. No, it's not because he's brilliant. I want you guys to hear me. It goes beyond that. He has a backing. But where does this backing come from? Why is God with Jacob? Even after Jacob tricked his brother, why is God with this fellow? It's because of one man. And that man is called Abraham. He opened a door for a spirit. God is a spirit, a divine spirit. And
like when your grandparents pray for you, right?
His generation,
that prayer goes into the universe, and
his generation is affected, but in a positive way.
So that's why you're supposed to pray for your children before they walk out the door.
After familiar spirits, believe it or not, are the opposite of what I just said.
And it goes from generation to generation, just like a familiar spirit.
According to Hebrews 1 verse 14, ministering spirits. And of course, angels. Angels are called ministering spirits in Hebrews 1 verse 14. And then says to minister for them who are what? Heirs of salvation. The Bible there is specific as to who these spirits, who are ministering spirits, they should minister to. The word minister is the word to serve. So the Bible is clear as to who these spirits are to serve. Familiar spirits are the opposite of what we just said.
Listen.
They are there not to serve you, but to serve their master.
What?
And since you are not their master, you are their victim.
Woo!
They will victimize you to please their master. They are
Rebuke them
called
demons.
household servant because they are familiar with you. But how are they familiar with you? Because you've never opened the door. Well, familiar spirits are also called inherited giants, meaning they were never your giant, but you inherited them.
Pay attention.
One can inherit them. That's why some of you, you are fighting things that did not start with you.
That's right.
You are watching and you are wondering, how come I've been dealing with this in my life? How come in my family we are moving in this pattern? How come this is happening to my sister as it happened to my mother? Now it's happening to me. It's because what you guys are dealing with, you are dealing with a familiar spirit. This spirit knows your limits, knows how far you can go, knows your grandmother, knows your grandfather. So it uses what it used against your grandmother to defeat you.
I can't make this shit
Hey
up.
everybody, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I've spent the last 43 years now working with people all over the world in 100 countries to show them how
Listen.
To defeat you. So it knows who you are in and out better than you. And because of the information it has, it uses that to stop you from thriving. That's why some of you don't understand that these spirits are called familiar spirits because they are familiar with their victim. They are familiar. They will victimize their victim to an extent that the person themselves, every time they meet somebody, that other person's life will be messed up. Not because the person's life was not making sense, was making sense. But when they meet somebody with a familiar spirit, also their life starts going down. That's one thing about familiar spirit. You can meet somebody, sleep with somebody, and inherit that spirit that is familiar from that person, and you walk out with the familiar spirit. And that familiar spirit will deal with you, that once it finishes dealing with you, it does not leave you alone. It will go to those that are connected to you. Hence, I said it's ruthless.
Like your children.
It does not harass you to an extent that when you feel like, you know what, I'm done, then the spirit goes, yeah, now I'm done. No. When you die, whoever is connected to you will inherit it. Hence, I hate this spirit with passion. And a lot of people have inherited familiar spirits from different people. And familiar spirits' duty, familiar spirits' number one job is to please
their
its
God,
master.
their master.
And in this case, it can be a witch, it can be a wizard, it can be somebody who spoke a bad word against your grandfather. It can be somebody who said something about your grandmother. It can be somebody who said something about your mother. And that spirit now obeyed the master. And in obeying the master, it had to make sure that the words spoken against your mother or your grandmother or grandfather take shape. And after taking shape, it does not go back to the master. So it will serve the master
unless you return it to sender,
messing up that person's life. And when that person goes, dies, guess what? It does not go back to the master. It goes to the person who's connected to that person.
Their children.
That's what familiar spirits are capable of. That's what they do. That's what they specialize in.
I can't make this
that
up,
even
y'all.
in relationships, a lot of people don't make progress. And not because they are not good people. And not because they are not loving people. They love. They want the best for others as well.
Yeah.
But relationships never work out. And one wonders, but this relationship, the way it started, I was 100% sure this is the one.
Yeah.
What happened? What went wrong? It's because once a familiar spirit is at work, nothing goes right. In the beginning,
I rebuke every familiar spirit that is trying to trample over my life.
Familiar spirits are so dangerous
break
that
every generational curse.
they can
Ooh.
help somebody say what you want to hear in order for you to love them. I don't know if you guys got that. Familiar spirits
Listen.
can cause somebody
Mm-hmm.
to say things that you are familiar with, things that will make you happy, and you will conclude this person loves me. This person is serious about me. And only to realize
the action
that their words don't match their actions. It's a familiar spirit.
That's
It's
a
familiar
familiar
with his
spirit, y'all.
And it will say what you're familiar with,
How many
or rather
of
what you want to
us
hear.
has
I hate the
encountered
spirit. I hate familiar spirits with all that is in me. I've seen
Words don't match
destinies
the
hijacked.
action.
I've seen people with greatness
Say whatever they
everywhere
want you
but
to hear,
nowhere
whatever sounds
because of
good, just to get you
familiar
where they need you.
spirits. They don't care about your degree. They don't care about your educational background. They know this is how far you are going to go, and they will make sure you don't go as far.
They will control your destiny.
In a controversial new bill that just passed aimed at making America healthy again, all 50 states approved free water.
You don't go as far.
Listen.
Some of you are dealing with poverty that never started with you. Some of you are dealing with sicknesses that never started with you. Some are dealing with trauma, family traumas that did not start with
kidney
you.
failure, all that.
Inherited giants. But I want to assure you that
familiar spirits.
There is a way that one can be delivered. One
That's why
can
when you
come
go to the
out
doctor, don't even answer
of
that
all
question.
this. One can be rescued from all this. One can be separated.
Listen.
One can be taken out,
Rescued
brought out
and
from
separated
all this.
from these.
I'm talking about familiar
delivered
spirits.
from these
And the number one way,
spirits. Listen.
or the number one solution that one can use, so to say, to come out completely, is what we call prayer and fasting.
Woo.
That is because there has never been an issue or a problem that prayer and fasting failed to solve. If you want to be as spiritual as one can ever think, be in fasting. Enter into a fasting. Enter into a fasting. And once you are in a fasting, guess what then happens?
Listen.
Your spirit, man, because you are a spirit. You are a spirit possessing a soul living in a body. You are not a body possessing a soul living in the spirit. So every time you fast, your spirit man gains power. Your spirit man is in charge. And if you pray from that now, I'm talking about fasting, when your spirit man is in control, guess what then happens? Every spirit that is either monitoring or a familiar spirit, doesn't matter what type of spirit that is afflicting you, will live your life. That's why Jesus said, this kind of spirits, this kind does not go out. That young man had a familiar spirit that knew him, that caused him to go into fire, caused him to go into water. He didn't want to do that, but he ended up in there, not because he was controlling himself, not because he was in charge of his senses, because he had a spirit that knew him and caused him to do certain things. But Jesus came and rebuked it. And the disciples asked, how come we failed? And Jesus gave them the solution. And he said, this kind. So even the kind of familiar spirits can only go out by prayer and fasting. And that is number one. Number two, the spirit that we are dealing with right now uses people who you yourself have a weak spot for, yet they have a wicked spot for you. Any relationship, whether it's a love relationship, whether friendship, hear me, any relationship, come here. Any relationship that is not a blessing but a burden, you need to let go of that relationship. Any relationship that is making you bitter, not better, you need to let go of that relationship. Any relationship that is pulling you away from the presence of God, it is not from God. It is not a blessing. That thing is a distraction. And you need to let go. Because that's what they use. That's what the Bible then says. Do not be equally yoked. And then it goes further and it says, what relationship does light have with darkness? And a lot of people tend to downplay that and think, you know what? I know what I want. Or later on, it will be better. The funny thing about familiar spirits,
I was told to get better after 5 years.
Spirits. Let me say that again. One thing about these things, familiar spirits, is that time has no power over them. So it doesn't get better with time.
Don't get better
Just
with
in case you
time.
think time will solve this. No, time can't. Time does not have power over spiritual things.
Ooh.
Have you heard
Did
about
y'all hear
Poppin
what he
Windows?
said?
This company is looking for homeowners to
Time
trial
has
these brand
no
new, super easy to install Poppin Windows.
Power over these things. It doesn't get better with time with these familiar spirits.
Say with me.
Do you
War
understand?
against familiar spirits.
Woo. War against familiar spirits. This is what we have been inflicted with, okay? A war, y'all. A war has been
familiar spirits
launched against us.
I want
War
us
against
to
familiar spirits.
be honest. You see, most Christians are not honest.
You know what? I'm
I
not
think
even
they're
on no.
confusing
Listen.
this.
It's not even about being religious, okay? Because some of us are so lost in our path that we don't know which way to go, y'all, okay? So I don't care what religion you are. I don't care if you have a religion or not, because Satan doesn't care either, all right? And actually, those are the ones that he wants. It wants whatever, okay? Those are the ones who are going to be attacked, okay? So today, I'm sitting up here telling you right now, I don't care what denomination you are. I don't care if you have one or not, atheist, whatever. Baby, when I tell you that we are in a spiritual warfare, and we better know what to do, or we lunch meat. Period. You're going to get chewed up and spit the if that, maybe, digest it and spit out. But baby, let me tell you, I'm asking that you guys equip yourselves properly, right? Know what to do when you are being attacked by these entities. Like it's a thing called the witch riding your back, right? There's things called succubus and incubuses. There's things called familiar spirits, unfamiliar spirits. Listen, but the familiar spirits, like he said, are the worst ones because they know you. A lot of times you've opened up a door, or your ancestors opened up a door, and unfortunately, they say that a curse goes from 4 generations over, and sometimes longer than that, if you don't know that you're under this curse. This is why it is our job to break these curses. It is our job to break these generational curses so that they do not fall on our children and our children's children. Because that's how it goes. Unfortunately, the ball has been dropped in our laps, okay? And either you're going to dribble it or you're just going to keep holding on to it, right? And passing it like it's a torch. It has to end somewhere, okay? And I'm not perfect. I am not the most religious person in the world. Don't get me wrong. And when it comes to being spiritual, you got to be careful with that too, okay? I am not saying that I am the most spiritual. I'm not saying I'm the most righteous. I'm not saying I've just been given some knowledge, right? That I want to share with my peoples because my peoples will perish due to lack of knowledge, all right? And who am I to have this knowledge and not share it with you guys, knowing that strength is in numbers. Strength is in numbers. So how can I be a connoisseur of information, knowing that we are at war and knowing that strength is in numbers? We need more numbers. We need our numbers up. We got to start praying up. Pray for yourself. Don't let anyone else pray over you or for you. No one can ask God, right? You, inside of you or outside of you, Oh, but greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Please remember that, okay? It says that in the Bible. So don't come at me as if, oh, she's a hypocrite. No, I'm not, because it says in the Bible, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. So what does that mean? That means the God inside of you is greater and more powerful than the God that they have you worshiping outside of you. Okay? So I'm going to need you to tap in. Tap in, because we have the power over these creatures, right? These demons, these beasts. We have dominion over the freaking world. We have dominion over these demons. We have the power to cast them out. We have the power to bind them, right? But you have to know what to do, what to say. Period. Period. Strength is in numbers. And guess what? As long as I've reached one person, I've done my job. Wake up, wake up, wake up. I broke my freaking bell, so I can't ring it, but I'm gonna ring a ding, 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 ding on your butt today, baby. Because I have an army that I've never even seen, right? And you do too. That's why you can't be afraid. You cannot be afraid, because these entities live off of fear. Your loosh is what they need. Your fear, your anger, your emotions, like an emotional roller coaster. This is what they want us on, right? So when they bring these familiar spirits to you, they do nothing but cause aggravation, frustration, and, a downward spiral. Okay? And you have to recognize what's going on, and you have to break it. You have to know what to do. When you start acting different, when you know that your personality is not of your own, you're having thoughts that are not of your own, then you should know that something has been attached to you. Something is going on. You have to know how to recognize when you have been attacked by these familiar and unfamiliar spirits, okay? Don't think that it's okay for you to be having sex in your dreams, okay? Because it could be a spiritual husband or wife that has been attached to you from birth, and that could be why your relationships are going bad. That's another one that I want to go into as well. Okay? They're called strongholds. We got to know how to break those too. So listen, y'all, stay tuned, please. Like I said, as long as I reach one person, I know I've done my job, because that one person is going to reach 1,000, and that 1,000 is going to reach 10,000, and that 10,000 is going to reach what? Yeah, we going to infinity, baby. Yeah, Missy, Recycle, Infinity TV. Love you.